All right. Well, my name's Nick Matlack. I'm the Great Plains Division Manager, and sitting here with Brendan French, and we're talking about this season of the year, looking at the last 7 weeks of 2018. And this is my favorite time of year to sell. This is where I always capitalized on repeat orders, capitalized on the holiday sales, capitalized on the fact that the market's primed for people to be buying. If you think about it right now, this is when people are really excited about spending money and they've saved up for it. They're giving gifts. And so there's a lot more reason to be able to purchase a product like ours, or also they're cooking more. So, it's something that's actually a necessity. So I love this season of the year. And this is where I was just talking to them. We already have 16 reps on Rollo in like the first couple of days of the week. And 5 of those people haven't even sold for the last 3 or 4 months because they're just getting calls from their customers saying, hey, I want to buy this, or hey, I'm ready to buy this, or I just finished my last payment on my last set and I'm ready to purchase again. So I know in the Great Plains division, we have 2 major push periods coming up. So the first one is called the Turkey Bowl. And this is one that is an 11-day push from November 16th through the 26th. It's pretty exciting. We've got some awesome contests and prizes that people are able to win. And what I'm fired up about is, being able to see some of the individuals win some of the incredible prizes. So we have things like winning a gadget. We have things like winning a Yeti. We've also got the opportunity to win a homemaker set or a gourmet set, both around $800 with a free brand new Cutco. An Amazon Dot, right? If you sell 6K, we also have the Beats headphones and then 2 tickets to a Thunder game, as well as a bonus opportunity to get tickets into a drawing. And we are giving away a Series 8 Samsung Smart TV 43-inch. So already bought it. It's awesome, and I'm really excited about seeing some people go after that push. So really, I like to compare this to the summertime in Vector. In the summer, we have 2 major push periods. We have SC1, and that's normally in the last 2 weeks of June. And then we have SC2, and that's normally the last week of July and the first couple weeks of August. And those push periods typically produce about 50% of the sales of the entire summer. So one of the reasons I get excited about this time of year is that this push is kind of like what I like to say is SC1. And then the second push we have coming up is the Puerto Vallarta push, and that's the first 24 days of 2019. It's a regional push, and you have the opportunity to win a 4-day, 3-night all-inclusive trip to Puerto Vallarta, as well as compete regionally and win a trophy. So right before year-end banquet. So I'm fired up about this time of year. I'm excited about comparing these 2 things to SC1 and SC2. So one thing you might want to jot down is that SC1 or the Turkey Bowl is where champions are born, and SC2 or the Puerto Vallarta push in January incentive is really where champions perform. And I always recommend that if you really want to capitalize on a great push, you got to have a practice push first, right? Puerto Vallarta, right? In 24 days, knocking out 10K in sales, that's something you don't want to risk missing, and that's something you don't want to lose out on. So what I recommend to everybody is making sure that you really get intense about working hard for the first push, the Turkey Bowl, and that way you can learn from it. You can gain a lot of momentum with leads, and that'll launch you and catapult you into SC2 and the Puerto Vallarta push. So let's talk a little bit about what push is. Let's talk about why it matters. First off, what I love most is that this is the time of year that we're starting to target and we're starting to hunt down our future leaders. This is where we find our future assistant managers, our future branch and district managers, our future events team reps. We have things like the kiosk coming up, and we've got a lot more events. I was talking to Rob Steiner yesterday about all the events we have statewide that we need to be filling, and we need more people to be able to get to those points. Not to mention, for a lot of reps, finishing strong for these last 7 weeks means you getting your highest percentages, right? Being able to get to 20, 25, 30%, and then start next year. You think about selling 10 grand in the first few weeks of next year at 30%, you're making $3,000 in income. And now you can go into the next semester working part-time and being able to earn full-time. And that's something I really love about the job, is that if you work hard now, you can play hard later and take advantage of the flexibility and have the exact same sort of income, right? And that's something that not a lot of jobs offer. So let's talk a little bit about the push that's coming up. And what I want you to think about is, why should you go big for the Turkey Bowl push? Well, first off, it's 11 days long, right? And it's the last 4 days of November for tabs, and it's the first 7 days of December for tabs. And so it's really going to help everybody finish strong for bonus, and then also give us an opportunity to start off December with a lot of momentum. So a couple of things that I recommend doing for everybody is making sure you understand why we have push periods in the first place. Push stands for persist until something happens. And really what it's about is going above and beyond your comfort zone, getting outside of what's normal and what you're used to, and really giving yourself permission and an excuse to work hard and stretch your levels of a success. And when I think about going into a push period, I think about a few things. For some of you, it might be redemption from your fast start, right? You look at your fast start and you're sitting here now and you're like, man, if I could do my fast start all over again, I would absolutely rip it up. And I don't know if you've ever thought that. I know that I have. And I'm like, geez, I would have sold so much more if I would have known then what I know now, right? And there were prizes that you might have missed out on, and now you can still win them, right? The Homemaker completion set, you can win the choice of gadget, you can win a lot of the stuff that you might have missed out on in your fast start. Another thing I think about is making sure that you build momentum, right, with your lead generation for SC2. Fresh leads versus real leads, just your normal leads, completely different. And think about going out there and doing, let's say, 10, 20 appointments during the 11 days, right? If you did 20 appointments and got an average of even just 5 referrals off of each, that's 100 fresh leads for you to go into the rest of December, the holiday season, and the January incentive program. So that's a huge momentum booster for you there, right? Another thing I would write down is competition. Right? I think about, why do we have push periods? Well, because it's fun to compete. I love being able to have bragging rights. I love being able to stand at the front and say, hey, I was the #1 rep for the push, right? I love being able to take other people down. I remember when we were going after a national record in Albuquerque, I was a rep that was one of the top guys going after a scholarship, and I was normally shipping about 3 to 4K a week. But then every time I'd have like a bad week of 2K, there was just that other rep that got lucky and beat me, the entire team would be like, oh, Nick lost, right? And it was just this thing that would motivate me. And then the next week I'd dominate and sell $5,000. And, just to boost my ego, sometimes I'd say, well, you might have beat me, but I make 50%. And, that means that I probably earned more than they did, which was always a good feeling for sure. So competition is a really good thing as long as it's healthy, right? And I think about making a name for yourself. I love the concept and the quote that says, hustle until you don't have to introduce yourself. And when you're really kicking butt and taking names in a job like this, everybody knows you, right? Everybody respects you. Everybody looks up to you. Everybody wants to learn from you. And we need more of those championship types of people in the Great Plains division. I also think about the team competition, right? A lot of our offices right now are really working hard to be able to win the trip to Cayman Islands, or be able to hit the double monthly bonus, or be able to really maximize the fall and help our division finish over 2.4 or 2.5 million. And I know in the pilot office, we're at about 1.65, and we've got to be pacing towards that $2 million mark. So we really need everybody to step up and really work their butts off. Another big thing you can write down about why push is an income opportunity. I want you to write down what your biggest paycheck is you've ever had before. And I know for you, Brennan, biggest paycheck you've ever had in a week from Vector is what?
$1,460.
$1,460? Cool. So $1,460 in 1 week, not a bad paycheck, and feels really good to have a comma in your paycheck where there's not between your first and last name, right? And you think about 7 days getting $1,000. Most people are probably going to blow $1,000 on Black Friday and over the course of the Thanksgiving break, and you would be able to say, hey, I made $1,000 during that time. Right? Or how about I made 2,000 and so I blew 1,000 and saved the other 1,000, and I'm still way ahead of where you're at, right? Not to mention I'm break even instead of I've got a credit card that I've got to pay off now and I don't even have a job yet, right? Think about that. So I want you to think about, what would 11 days of commitment look like, and how much could you actually earn? Not to mention, think about this. How much cooler are the holidays going to be when you have a bunch of money? Here's the deal. I know one of my favorite things about my first year with Vector is that fall, I was able to sell $15,000, and that 15 grand was sold at 50%. So I made $7,000 in the course of a semester. And even after paying for my school and paying for my life, I was able to give my parents a better Christmas gift than they gave me. And that was something that was really special. And I did that with knife money, right? So I really want to encourage you to think about the income that you can make. Can you make a 2K paycheck? How about this? Can you make back-to-back Comic Club paychecks, right? And realize this, that if you do it right and you target your repeat clients and you do a lot of demos, it's the perfect storm and it comes all together, right? The last few things about why push is the hyper growth, getting a better job in the future, knowing how to master your demo, take on more, right? Responsibility, and really make sure that you build some of your habits so that after the push, you never go back to the old version of yourself. I think about advancement opportunities is another big one, right? This is kind of an interview for your future. And I believe that how you do something is how you do everything. So candidates especially, listen up, right? If you don't treat a push with a lot of personal respect and responsibility as a rep, there's going to be a very likely chance that you treat push the exact same way when you open up an office. And I see it happen year after year. People who know how to push as a rep are the same people who know how to push their team as a manager. And when you can do that sort of thing, that's going to hyper extend the amount of sales you make for the summer. And so that's a huge multiplier, right? And I think about how every summer, over 50% of our summer sales are done during the push periods, right? Pretty intense to think about. This summer, the pilot did 700,000 plus, and we did over 350,000 out of the 2 push periods in our organization. So that's the difference they can make. If you take them away, we're losing out on a lot of business. A couple last things I would write down is the personal and professional skills that you're going to look for, right? And working gets harder, okay? As you get older, because you have more responsibility, you have a higher paying position. So the sooner you can learn those fundamental skills, the better. Things like communication, time management, goal setting, interpersonal communication skills, perseverance, attitude, mental toughness, those things matter. And I think about also, if you're not a candidate right now, we need to staff every office next summer with 7 assistant managers. So if you're just a rep right now listening to this, that's great too, because now you can say, hey, I'm going to work hard for this push to go ahead and put myself in the spotlight so my manager recognizes me. So does the division manager, Nick, and I can go ahead and start moving up the pipeline and be part of the Leadership Academy, right? So I'm fired up for this. I hope that you guys are too. What I want you to write down is a question for yourself. And the first question is, what do you want? There's 3 questions that I always ask people when they go into a big competition like this. And the first one is, what do you want? Now, that might be a number that you want. It might be an accolade. It might be an amount of money. It might be just a competition. It might be a standing in your office. It might be Dirty 30. It might be something like President's Club, right, which is pretty sweet. But the point is, you've got to be clear on what you want. And so I want you to start thinking about that right now. And I know, Brendan, for you, what's your biggest motivation with this push? What's the thing that's going to push you to go outside your comfort zone and work your butt off instead of sleeping in and being lazy during a break?
Probably income, practice,
sweet,
competitiveness.
Cool. So being competitive, making a bunch of money, right? How much money do you want to make for the push?
At least $2,000.
At least 2,000. So I think about breaking it down right now. You're at 30%, which is a great, and making 30%. You think about earning $2,000. We break that down, that comes out to about 6,000 or 666 bucks, right? 6,000, whatever. So a lot of sixes, right? The point is that here's the deal. In order to make that happen, what's it going to take? And you start to break that down with how many demos do I want to have? You start to break that down with how many phone calls do I need to make? You have to start to break that down on who are my targeting, who are my MAC clients, right? So I'm going to give you some tips that you should definitely write down as we go through this. And one of the things I like to help tell people do is simplify, right, the push. Instead of stressing out about selling a bunch of Cutco, the best way to go through a push is to focus on actions and activities. So let's talk about the alliances, right? And I want you to choose one. And if you've got a number that's close to an alliance, what I recommend doing is just, jumping up to the next alliance, because the purpose of a goal is not to hit a goal. The purpose of the goal is this person you become through the process of going after it, right? And, realize that I don't hit a lot of the goals that I have in my life, but that's okay, because if I was hitting them, I don't think they would really be big enough in the first place, right? So let's talk a little bit about these alliances. The first alliance that you can think about is 3,000, and a $3,000 alliance in 11 days, right? That comes out to, right around $1,500 each one of those, couple of weeks. And I think about, if you want to sell $3,000, typically it's going to take you about 20 appointments. And so in 11 days, what's that come out to? Like 2 appointments a day? It's not that bad, right? And by the way, getting over 3,000 for a lot of you would more than double your campaign sales, right? For some of you, it would put you up to that next promotion. And for even more of you, it would actually get you to Dirty 30, right? So think about that. Am I capable of doing 2 demos a day every day for that push? And some days you might not be. Right? You might look at Thanksgiving. That's a part of the push and say, hey, I don't want to do any demos that day. Well, that's fine, but you can still sell some Cutco, right? Every single year I go to Thanksgiving, I bring my knives with me wherever we're at. I bring them out. I put them on the table. I let people check them out. And I don't even say anything. I just say, hey, by the way, check these out. Let me know what you think. And without fail, every place I've gone to do that, somebody during the dinner brings up the knives. And they say, by the way, those knives were awesome. Where'd you get them? And I'm like, oh, I'm actually, one of the top reps in the area, and I'm actually able to market them and hook people up with really good deals. Have you been thinking about some good knives? Well, we really need some, and, cool. Well, just to let you know, we've got a couple of options, and you can go right into a makeshift demo if you need to, right? Or you can get their name and number and schedule them for like Black Friday and sell some of the Black Friday specials, right? So again, I'm not saying you have to do demos on Thursday, but you should definitely be thinking about Thanksgiving and how you can take advantage of that, right? And maybe you don't do any demos on Thursday, so you load up Friday to make up for it, right? You know, how cool would it be if on Black Friday, instead of blowing $500, you made $500, right? That would be a heck of a better Black Friday. So think about these things and, you know, think about going after that. The second alliance is 6K. And 6K is going to take right around a total of 30 demos. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, that's double 3K. But here's the cool thing about this job. The more demos you're doing, the better you're getting at it. Also, the more confidence you carry with you. So that means, right, the higher averages you typically have and the higher closings you typically have. So on average, if you're doing about 3 demos a day, think about how great you're going to get at the demo. Think about how confident you're going to be, right, with handling objections and things like dropping down and being able to ask for recommendations and get 5 to 10 every time, right? Because if you're doing it 3 times a day, man, even if all 3 of those are terrible demos and they're all no sales, right, you're going to learn a lot. And the next day, for every bad day, is going to come a what? Freaking great day. And you're going to crank it. You're going to sell $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, and it's going to make up for it. You know, the key to success in this business is just having one great day or one good day every week. As long as you're doing that, you're off to the races and you're always going to succeed. So all it takes is just mindset, right? Cool. So think about that, going after 6K. And when you go after 6, you're going to win a gadget of your choice, a Yeti tumbler. You're going to win a homemaker completion set or a gourmet set, right, worth $800, and you're going to win an Amazon Dot. That's pretty legit. Yeah. So Brennan can't even stop smiling right now because he's so pumped that these add up, right? So yes, the first 1, 2, and 3 levels are all cumulative. After that, you have to pick one, right? So you don't get all of that. But every 1,000 that you sell, you get an additional ticket in the drawing to be able to win the TV, and that's in addition to the stuff that you win. So I hope we're getting fired up about this, right? So I would say for most of you, 6K would be a phenomenal goal to go after. And with some reorders and some upsells and the holidays, right, and the payment plans that we offer, we can make it pretty darn affordable for people. So let's talk about the last alliance, and that's the 10K alliance. This is for people who just want to go all out, Cutco Nutso, right? Eat, breathe, sleep, live, dream Cutco. And I'll tell you that when you have a $10,000 push, not only do you make no less than $2,000, and most of you would make $3,000, but you also become pretty legendary. And every time you have a 10K push, it's another pin right up on the board. And now people are having 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K pushes. We even had a guy this year, it's a top-level CBSP, sell $100,000 by himself for a push period. Now, that's just insane to me, right? But how big are you thinking? And really what this takes is about 4 to 5 demos every day. You're either in a demo, you're on the phone, you're at the office, you eat, breathe, sleep, live, dream Cutco. But at the end of the 10 days, you win all of these prizes. You also have a very good shot at winning the TV, and you're in a place where you've got so many freaking leads and so much momentum and confidence that you're going to crush the rest of December, and there's no doubt you're going to be able to have the momentum to go after winning Puerto Vallarta, right? So as we wrap up here, I want to give you a few things to prep, because the real push is not won when the push begins, right? The real push is run in the preparation way before it. I think about running half marathons, right? The only way I can get to 13 miles or 26 miles for my full marathons that I've run is if I do a lot of training and preparation for it, right? And so right now is the time to work hard. It's the time to be putting in your effort so that you can make sure that you got everything accomplished before the actual push begins. Cool? Number one thing that I would do is I would send out a past customer email to everybody, and that would be done today or tomorrow, no later than that. And you're not going to get a big response on this, but it at least plants the seed that you can start to follow up with. The second step to that is you need to wait till Friday, which is the first day of the push, and you need to send out a personalized text message to every client, thanking them and talking about how you're still with Cutco and you're one of the top reps in the area and how we have some major holiday specials. And then I would always end on a question and say, I was just making sure that you got my email, right? ... a question mark. And then that's going to require a response. Now, you're going to get a heck of a lot more responses to the text than the email. And even if they're not interested in buying anything, that's still a great point of contact. It's a great way to remind them that you're a kitchen specialist and they're going to be doing it for a while. And it's a great opportunity for you to ask for a few more leads if you need it. And you never know. Sometimes they say no right then, and then they go off to shopping again, and they don't find that thing they really wanted for that lady. And then they think, what would be good? You know what? Cutco actually might be nice. I can't tell you how great it feels to be getting out a class of voicemails from clients saying, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but, right? And they go ahead and buy over the phone. So let's make sure we get the email out this week, we get the text message out next week, and then you can start to follow up an individual call every one of your past clients. And for those of you who are new, again, that's not necessary, but if you've been around for at least a month, I'd say something like that could really help you out. Cool? So keep that in mind. All right? Okay. So the next thing I want you to know about is to make sure you prepare your list. So here's the deal. It's all about prepping your list right now. And what that means is mission 100, mission 200, mission 250. You're going to need twice as many names as demos you want to do. So again, if you're going after 3K, you're going to need 20 demos. You probably want to have about 50 names. If you're going after 6K, you're going to need probably around 30 demos. So you want to have probably right around 100 names, right? And if you're going after 10K, man, 150, 200, because a lot of people are going to be busy. They're going to be out of town. There's going to be other things going on, and they're going to need your assistance and your and your help with that, right? So prepare your list. Start to think about who your MAC clients are now, and this is a great opportunity for you to get back to your chicken list and think about who are the people that I have on my list that I haven't talked to, or maybe I booked a demo, they rescheduled or canceled, and I never followed up, right? Or some of the people that you just might not even be comfortable calling. You guys have seen that in advanced training, and I know for myself, I had an old lady that lived down the street. I used to rent my bike off a rock and land in her flower bed, and I thought she hated me. It was like an A-frame house, and it always looked like a witch. And after about 4 months of selling, I was trying to win a scholarship, and my dad was helping me brainstorm, and he said, hey, why don't you go ahead and call Miss McCulloch? And I said, there's no way, she hates me, blah, blah, blah. And she said, hey, give her a call. So I did. The lady answers. She says, absolutely, I can't believe you're in college now. Come on over. She was able to cook me brunch. We hung out together. She bought over $1,300 worth of Cutco and then recommended me to 10 of her friends. And 1 year later, she also was able to call me back and buy another $1,000 as an upgrade. So, you never know what's on the other side of your fears. And I really encourage you to sit down and think about everybody you know as one of two categories, either a lead or a source. A lead is basically somebody that you can go ahead and call, do a demo with, no matter what. A source is somebody that you know, they're probably not the best to show or they're qualified to show, but they're people that would be great to talk to and they know other people who could become leads. And so again, go through your entire phone book, go through your entire phone, and you'll be able to find one of those two for sure. The next big thing that I talk about is making sure that you have call days leading up to your push. And so what needs to happen right now is making sure you want to go into your push with momentum. And so if you're going after 3K, I highly encourage you to shoot to have 5 to 10 appointments booked up before the actual first day of the push, right? Remember, some of those are going to reschedule, cancel, no show, no sale. So you always want to have some momentum going in because that way you're a lot more mentally committed and mentally engaged. If you have a bad demo, it's not as big of a deal as if you only had one appointment, right? If you're going after 6K, I'd recommend probably having anywhere from 10 to 12 or maybe even 15. And again, if you're going after, right, a $10,000 push, you want to have anywhere from 15 to 20 appointments booked up. I remember Carlton Thompson 1 year had a total of over 28 appointments booked up before the actual push began. And that's something that's going to take, a lot of time to get through, but it's going to produce a lot of CPO for sure. So make sure you're thinking about how can I spend my time phoning leading into the push. What we recommend is always erring on the side of caution, which means every 1 hour of calls equals 1 demo booked, right? And so what I recommend doing is making sure that you are planning that into your schedule, right? Now, again, it's not 1 hour of calls equals 1 demo booked. 1 hour of calls equals 1 demo completed, sorry. So keep that in mind as well. And what I love thinking about is the days going into it. So what I would recommend doing is using Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday at the division meeting to make at least 15 to 20 calls. And if you did that, you'd probably have right around a total of 6 to 8 hours of calls, which would be a guaranteed 10 plus appointments booked and 6 to 8 already completed. And that way you're off to the races, already over $1,000 and definitely winning some solid prizes, right? So keep that in mind, right? And what I recommend doing is just, again, the 4 days before push, put it in your schedule and make sure you make calls each of those days, all right? Last couple of tips that I have is to commit to your schedule. So you need to plan everything out. If there's homework assignments or family projects, try to get those out way in advance, and that way you can really commit to the job and when the push is actually going on. So again, what it comes down to is planning every little detail out. When do you go to school? When are you doing homework? When does your family want to hang out? When does your family not want to hang out, right? When are you planning planning to make phone calls? When are you planning to do demos? What are the office events that are going on? And putting all of those things into the schedule so we can really commit and we can go after some big things, all right? So last couple of tips that I have is to make sure you clear your schedule as well. And the last thing is to share your goals. And I think the more you can share with your goals, make sure that people know what you're going after and why it matters to you, the more they want to help you out as well. So the last event that we have coming up right now is the division meeting. This is going to be on November 15th. That's a Thursday, right after Leadership Academy, and that's going to be from 4 to 6, and then the division meeting will be from 6:30 until 9. And we are going to have an action-packed agenda with some of our best reps that have had 10K pushes. They're going to teach you how to follow up with clients, teach you how to upsell, teach you how to offer, better deals when you're dropping down, and teach you how to maximize your recommendations. So if you're not a level 10 at phoning, recommendations, or closing, highly recommend being there no matter what. Dress nice, be prepared, make sure you have a ton of demos. We're going to be giving away free Cutco for people who arrive to the actual meeting with demos already booked up. So if you arrive with 5, you get 1 ticket. If you arrive with 10, you get 2 tickets. If you arrive with 15, you get 3 tickets into the drawing, and we'll giving out some actual Cutco right on the spot there when that happens. So you can't miss it. Got to look forward to it. Got to go big. That's where we're also going to be promoting the Turkey Bowl and letting you know we have a lot of really awesome stuff to win. And then, of course, after that's over, we'll have about 5 weeks left for the year and 5 weeks before the Puerto Vallarta push. And again, on December 15th, we're actually going to be having the Leadership Academy, the Puerto Vallarta prep meeting, as well as the holiday party afterwards. So really excited to have all of you guys there. Thank you guys again for a phenomenal 2019. Thanks for being awesome and listening in. And again, if there's anything else that you need tips from or you don't understand something, follow up with your manager, get a PC, sit down, make a plan, commit to it, and remember that push, it has a lot more to do with your mindset than it does your skill set. So focus on mindset, and that's what's always going to win. All right, guys, see you on the other side and on the sales report. Adios.